Okay, this is turn 3, starting with the Germans. Their last set of reinforcements are two elite paratrooper squads with a 9-1 leader. Let's go into the rally phase. So the Germans have one stack of broken units here. Remember, they took some serious hits by the Americans. Let's see if we can rally them. We start with self-rallying units, those with a box around their morale. So this guy rolled a 5, plus 4 for desperation is a 9, greater than 6, does not rally. That means these two guys cannot be rallied by a leader because this leader did not rally. There are no other Germans that are self-rally capable. As the attacker, though, we can pick one unit to attempt to self-rally, even though it's not self-rally capable. We'll pick this guy here. Rolled a 7, which would have done it, except they are under desperation morale, so fail. We'll put them back. But they're no longer desperate. So we'll remove the desperation morale. The United States, rally phase. They have one unit that is broken, all others are fine. It is not self-rally capable, and they're not the attacker. So it just stays like it's unable to rally, but we do remove the desperation morale. Okay, now for the prepare fire phase. The only German units that could do that are these guys, since all others are destroyed or broken. But Germans are pretty desperate. I think I'm going to save their fire for later and have them maneuver instead. I feel like these buildings over here are a lost cause until these guys rally at least. These buildings, the Americans are coming in strong from the north, but at the moment they're not as strong as they could be, so we'll probably maneuver in there. Prep fire phase over. Now we'll do the German movement phase. So, have some tough choices here. I think we'll move our reinforcements on first. Maybe they can try to get some guys to fire in order to let these guys come in a little more unhindered. And tough choice. You know, instead of what I just said, I think we'll have these guys try to deploy a little smoke. I think this guy will go by himself, and he's going to attempt to throw smoke over here. So that'll be 2 movement points to throw smoke into an adjacent spot. He needs to roll 2 or less. He rolled a 3. I don't recall if leaders assist with smoke throwing. Let me figure that out. Leaders do not assist with throwing smoke. So this guy spent 2 movement points to throw smoke, which means the Americans could fire. Since he's in a stone building, though, they will decline. He has 2 movement points left. I guess I'm going to have him just draw fire. He's going to get smoked up probably, but so he's going to move into the open without using his self movement, because he's already started using his movement factors. And the Americans are going to fire. They rolled a 4, which is very nice. Their firepower is 7, which I look up on the 6th column. They get -1 for the Germans moving in the open, and another -1 for not using assault movement. That is 1 KIA. This German has just been destroyed. there is some residual firepower left over since it was on the 6th column. We divide by 2, essentially using the next lower firepower. There, 6 divided by 2 is 3, but there's only the closest number is a 2, so 2 residual firepower there. That was probably really stupid. So we'll just hold these guys here for a second. One benefit of that entire squad being wiped out, though, was that the Americans now fire at half firepower and cannot fire on units further away than the closest unit, which would be this. So that should allow us to have a little easier time bringing our reinforcements on. I think I'm going to do the old stack 2 squads with a leader. And again, probably stupid, but we're just going to go for it here. These guys are going to, they have 6 movement factors. 1, 2, 3. The Americans still cannot fire on them. Just as a reminder, the Americans up north cannot see them other than these guys who are broken. So they've spent 3 movement factors. I think we'll move these guys in 1 more. The defender may fire now. As the Americans, I guess, you know, obviously I know what I'm doing as the Germans since I'm playing myself, but if I was trying to guess what another opponent would do, I'd be thinking, well, that guy's coming in for an assault. I can't imagine he's going to stop in the open. I'm going to hold my fire, hoping to get double my firepower at close range. And then the Germans, do I want to do that? So they've done 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 2 movement factors left. Yeah, let's just go for it. If they go here, they can actually get hit by 2 American units. This guy at point blank, this guy from a space away. If they go here, only 1 unit can fire on them, but it'll leave a residual fire marker, making it harder for these guys to assault. What the heck? We'll just do that. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Americans are going to fire. They're at half firepower, 3.5, doubled for 1 hex away. They rolled a 9 on the 6 firepower table. The Germans are not using assault movement, and they're moving in the open. That's a normal morale check. So it's bad for the Germans. Let's roll for that leader first. You got doubles for a 4. He doesn't apply a -1 to his roll, but that is a successful morale check. So that means we can then check the morale of these guys applying the leadership modifier. So, very nice roll. Let's remember that. And then the next guy, 10, -1 for the leader, 9, he breaks. Could have been much worse. We'd leave another residual firepower in that location, but they are poised to enter close combat. The Americans have final fired, so they can only do final protective fire now, which is a dangerous defensive strategy. The last German units capable of moving are these guys, and I might as well move them. Question is, do I risk moving through these 2 firepower residual fire, or do I have them come around here, which would allow them to be taken under fire by these guys and these guys? Being taken under fire by these guys puts these guys at risk of breaking though. You know, these are elite paratroopers, they are going for it. So, 1, Americans can't fire. They can only fire on adjacent units now because they're under a final fire marker. 2, Americans are firing. These guys for sure. These guys might as well do it because they're about to be engaged in close combat during the after the advanced phase. So they might as well fire as well. So their firepower again is halved, then doubled to 7. These guys' firepower is 3, so that's a 10 on these guys. They are forming a fire group. Rolled an 11. We're looking at the 10 firepower up on the 8 column. Subtract 2 for moving in the open and not using assault movement. That is a pin task check. Let's roll for the leader. He rolled a 5, he is not pinned. Let's roll for the squad. Rolled a 7, he is not pinned. Okay, that's good for the germs. Let's see, we rolled a 10. Minus 2 was a sorry, we rolled an 11. Hold on. Okay, that pause was just me trying to remember what I rolled. It was an 11, but these guys do throw down a residual fire marker. Let's see, they were checking on the 8 column actually, so that would be divided by 2 is 4. The reason this was more is because there's some extra oomph coming from this half squad up here. But since they rolled an 11, these guys don't care, but these guys are terrified. These German squads are running right up to the building and they're trying to mow them down and not succeeding. That 11 is actually used, even though it was the Germans' die roll for firing, it's actually used for a morale check on these guys. Their morale is 7, so clearly they break. So that was a risky choice. Hard to say if that was the best choice or not. Americans are broken. So Germans trying to turn this around a little bit. Okay, there's one, oh, I forgot, there is one more German that can move. It's this guy that came in here last turn, double timing. And I should have removed this exhaustion counter because he cannot double time again. So we'll remove that. Decide what I want him to do. He was going to come over here as fast as he can and try to help assaulting here. Clearly, there's a giant stack of Americans here. All the Germans are, you know, hiding under cupboards and tables in that building. So maybe he should come up and get prepared to help with that assault over there. Looks like these Americans can see over through these buildings though, through that orchard. So that's a little risky. American firing range is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, maybe they'll just continue on over there and hope those guys rally, because I don't want to run through here and risk them breaking. So they have 4 movement points. They can't double time. They will go, let's see, could they fit into here? They could. So they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Not very good. Okay, that's the German movement phase. Now for the defensive fire phase, where the defender, i.e. the Americans, can fire if they have that capability still. During that movement phase, I should have thrown a first fire down on this American half squad because he fired on these Germans here. So that means they still have another shot if they like, but at half firepower, might as well do it. Half firepower will be 1.5, rounded down to 1, so they're firing on the 1 column. All this residual firepower should have been removed at the end of the movement phase as well. It's only useful during movement. So this is a long shot. They are firing at these Germans. Wow, they crack shots. Of course, rolling doubles means you cower. They're not stacked with the leader, so the leader can't prevent, or there is no leader to prevent cowering. We're firing on the 1 column, so I need to see if that even matters. I'm guessing it does, but we'll see. Okay, any column shift on the infantry fire table that results in something lower than the leftmost column is no effect. So they cowered and their fire was totally ineffective. So they're done firing. Now these guys can still fire on these guys here. Their best leader is an 8 minus 1. We got 14 points of firepower coming down here. Rolled an 8 minus 1 is a 7 on the 12 column. That is a 1 MC. Oh, but I have to add for the building, so plus 3. It's a pin task check. Well, these guys are broken, so it doesn't really matter. Let's make sure they are marked final fire. Is there anyone else capable of doing defensive fire? It looks like no one else can see anyone. So that is the defensive fire phase. Okay, advancing fire phase. I should have removed these final fire markers at the end of the last phase, since they're no longer needed. Advancing fire. So these guys are not under prep fire markers, so they might as well fire back. Question is, do I want to form a fire group of these two guys to try to kill this guy? Pretty good attack. That would be doubled for point blank. There's a 9-1 leader on each one, which means I can, since I can use the leader modifier. If I was trying to make a fire group of these 2 stacks without a leader here, I couldn't. But as long as there's a leader of at least, same modifier, I can have the fire group use the leadership. Or I could just have this guy fire on him, this guy fire on him. I'm inclined to do that, to try to get as many Americans broken as possible, even though it's a long shot. So this guy's going to fire on the broken guys. Firepower of 5, double to 10 for point blank, or being 1 hex away anyway. Minus 1 on the roll, but plus 3 for the stone building the defender's in. Rolled an 8. We're rolling on the 8 column. Plus 3 minus 1. No effect. Gosh darn it. Now these guys, they're just a 5 minus 1 against this plus 3 building over here. Probably should have formed a fire group. Whew, getting some serious good rolls here. So they cowered. No, they didn't, because they were the leader. So they rolled a 2 on the 4 column, because they have 5 firepower, and that's the closest column. The building adds 3 to the roll, and then the leadership subtracts 1. That's a 1 MC. So roll for the Americans. They have to add 1 to the die roll. They rolled a 6 plus 1 is 7. So not so great, but it could be worse too. They are pinned because they rolled exactly their morale. No other Germans can do advancing fire right now. So now we move to the rout phase. We rout the attacker first. When these guys got fired on down here by the Americans, I believe they needed to be marked desperate. Let me double check that. Yes, so a broken unit that is fired upon with enough firepower that could possibly result in a normal morale check. If that happens, they become desperate again. So that's going to be just that much harder for these guys to rally, but that does allow them to rout, and they can rout away from that guy, hopefully be able to rally for some future term. So they need to pick the closest stone, or closest building or woods within certain other parameters, but I would say this is the closest. We do the units one at a time. So we'll just see here. I mean, my intention is they're going to route to this building, which is the closest. And then once you've routed to a building or woods, you can keep routing through buildings and woods if you so desire. I'm going to have them keep routing down to this building, which is out of sight. So we'll just do the whole stack. So they'll come way down here. Now the Americans, these guys have to pick the closest building. This one's close, but it's adjacent to an enemy unit. This one, valid. This one's valid. It is in line of sight of this guy here, so I probably should move them here. If they go here, it's in line of sight of this guy. Ugh. If they come up here, they can continue routing though, so that's what they'll do. So route up to here. It's 1, 2. They get 6 points. 3, 4. And they can keep going up to 6, so might as well route up to that leader. Up here. So they just moved out of the building to make space. So hopefully that guy can rally them next turn. Okay. Now for the advance phase. All German units get to make one move. So these guys will definitely move into here. So the question is, should I take these guys and stack them in there, or just maybe get them into these buildings here? I think putting them in here is good, because then later they can go into here, they can fire on guys moving down. So that's what we'll do. Move them into there. Ah, I forgot these Germans. Well, the closest buildings, remember there are Americans here. Attackers have to route first, so this is not an option for them. Plus there's an American there. So this was the only real option. Well, if they're broken though, you can route next to a broken unit, I believe. Let me just double check that. That would have been, oh, you know what, they'll be moving closer to a known enemy unit, this guy, or at least equidistant. Yeah, they would see him. You know, let me just look it up. I get confused by these rules. Okay, so you can't route to towards a known enemy unit even if it's broken. So these guys' only option was to route back to here, and then they could continue routing, but I'm not going to have them do that. Okay, so anyway, the advance phase, these two guys advanced up to here. Do I want these paratroopers advancing to here, even though they will be in sight of the Americans for the American turn? You know, I mean, desperate times here. I mean, this American stack, I guess you might call a kill stack. Well, it's not too bad, but 14-point firepower. We'll just move up there. Okay, that's the advance phase for the Germans. Close combat, there is no close combat. So we remove all pin markers, and that is the end of the German turn. Okay, now it's the Americans' turn 3. Rally phase. Their last set of reinforcements are coming in on the north edge. Looks like another platoon with one of the squads broken into 2 half squads. Very nice 9-2 leader coming in as well. Let's rally units. So first we do self-rally capable units. Well, the only American units that are broken is this unit up here. He's not self-rally capable. So I can pick one attacking unit to self-rally, even if not capable, so let's do this guy. He needs to roll an 8 or less. He's in a building, so he gets a +1. Or I should say a -1. Got a 7, -1, 6. He's rallied. Now we do the Germans. Yeah, this is a key stack down here. They're just languishing though. So let's do their self-rally capable unit, which is this leader here. He needs to roll a 6, +4 for being desperate, -1 for being in a building. Rolled a 10, fail. So no one else there can rally. Desperation morale comes off though. Over here, this guy is not self-rally capable, but his desperation morale comes off. That's a rally phase. You know, I actually, on the last 2 rally phases, didn't notice there's a broken American in this building from that assault they did on turn 2. So let's rally him twice. So the first one gets a +4 for being desperate and a -1 for being in the building. Rolled an 8, so that fails, but his desperation morale would have come off. And then on the American rally phase, it's a little better chance. He rolled a 7, -1 is a 6, so he rallied as well. So all the Americans are rallied. These guys are very easy to get back into the game, it seems. Okay, American prep fire phase. Well, do we want to do any prep fire? I think we do. So over in these buildings over here, these Germans, well, there's some Americans here they can fire on. Cross over here, and they can fire on these guys here. Question is, who's the better guy to fire on? I think, well, tough to say. I think they're going to rely on the guys coming from the north to take care of the other buildings, so they're going to fire down here. They have 2 leaders. Best one's an 8-1. Got 14 firepower coming across here. +3 for the building. Rolled an 8 on the 12 column. +3 for building. -1 for leader. Pin task check. Germans need a 8 or less. They rolled it. So it doesn't matter. So they fired. Up here, I guess these guys might as well fire. I mean, could hold off and so they can, well, no, they might as well just fire. I don't see any need to maneuver them. So that house squad fires at 3, doubled for point blank, so that's 6. The roll is 7 on the 6 column. After you've added the building modifiers, it's useless. So they are done firing. That's all. Well, there's one other option for the Americans. This guy could fire. I could save him and start maneuvering down to here. Another option though is he could try to fire on this guy, and if it's capable of making a normal morale check, that guy will become desperate because he's currently broken. I think that's worth doing. His firepower is 7, but it's at long range. His range is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's greater than 4, but less than or equal to double. So that's 3.5 rounded down to 3. He rolled an 8 doubles, so he cowers. That means he's firing on the 1 column, but it doesn't matter. There is a possibility of a morale check, even though he didn't roll it. So these Germans down here are desperate once again. Throw a prep fire on that American up there. That's the prep fire phase. Okay, American turn 3 movement phase. These Americans here at the north of the village are capable of movement. Let's see, what do we have here? We got 3 squads and a leader, so a whole platoon just sitting there ready to move. Got almost a platoon here ready to move, plus we have a platoon off the northern edge of the map, so kind of got overwhelming firepower. These guys need to get in position to just knock these Germans out. I'm afraid of being too cautious here, but then I also don't want these stacks to get blown away by lucky German rolls. I think maybe for starters, we'll send a single American squad out from this stack. And he's going to go 1, 2. And then he's going to try to throw smoke here. The idea being maybe this bigger stack can come cruising down here, avoid being fired on, or at least have a chance by being behind the smoke, get into this building. So his smoke factor is 3. Need to roll 3 or less on a single die. Got a 2. Got some smoke out. So that used all his movement. It was 2 to move into the building, and then 2 more to throw the smoke into an adjacent spot. Okay. So now, yeah, I guess we'll move this. Do I want to move the big stack down there? I don't know. Well, let's finish moving his compatriots. I think they're going to just move 1 into there, and then maybe they'll advance into here and be prepared to engage in close combat on a subsequent turn to try to knock these guys out. Okay, so now these guys here, they go 1, 2. Can these Germans see them through these buildings? Hard to say, but even if they can, they're tracing through a hindrance of orchards plus a +2 hindrance of smoke, so that'd be +3, equivalent of a stone building. These guys are moving in the open, but from their perspective, they're not in the open because of these hindrances. They are not moving using assault movement though, so it'd be a -1. Okay, so those guys went 1. What the heck? They're gonna go 2 and move into this smoke-filled orchard. So the question is, what did the Germans do? So we got this large group of Americans moving in. If the Germans fire, they sort of release other Americans to move around more freely. Yeah, I think they should fire. So that's 5 -1 +3 for the hindrances of smoke and orchard, -1 because these guys are not using assault movement. So 3 -2, so that's a +1 to the roll. Could be worse. Of course, they rolled an 11. Nope. So we throw a first fire marker on these guys. So the Americans, let's see, they went 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 2 movement points left because there's a leader with them. Do I want them to advance into here? That'd be a little scary because these guys down here would be firing at double firepower for 10. These guys have a leader, so there'd be a leader modifier. If I did a fire group, these guys would be firing at 5, so that'd be 15 to here with a +3 -1. I think the Americans are going to be a little bit cautious here and not do that. Yeah. I should remember though, at the end of the movement phase, smoke dissipates, and these guys will be sitting, in an orchard at +1. So should I let these guys fire? should these guys, should I move them into here and take the heavy fire now, or leave them there and still take, okay fire? Yeah, the fire's not gonna be that bad, 2.5. Okay, so they'll stay there. So the last Americans that are capable of movement are off map. These reinforcements coming in. Let's take a look at which Germans can see up there. Almost nothing. So I think come in on this side with this guy's going to come in with 2.5 squads. This leader, they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And since they're on a road and staying on roads, let me just make sure no one can see them. They get a +1, 7. Okay. And this half squad remaining, he'll do something similar. He'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then +1 for being on a road the whole time, 5. That's the American movement phase. Okay, defensive fire phase for the Germans. The American smoke is dissipated and the Germans can see their shapes coming in now. These Germans here can see these guys at point blank. They can also see these guys not at point blank, so they'd be firing at half firepower since they've already fired their first fire. So they'd be firing at a 2 into a 1 hindrance, +1 hindrance, which is not very good. It'd be better to fire here in terms of firepower, but if on a lucky roll I can take out 3 guys right now. That's what they're going to do. They're going to try to get a lucky roll. So that's 2.5 rounded down to 2, +1 to the die roll for the orchard. They rolled a 9, nothing, so they've final fired. These Americans here, these Germans here can fire over to here at this stack, or up through here at this half squad. Might as well go for the big stack. So it's in range. It's another 2.5 rounded down to 2. These guys are in a building, +3, -1 for the leader. These guys had a -1 for the leader too. The die roll was horrible. Let's see what we can get. We got double 3s. Let's see, so they're firing on the 2 column, +3, but then you shift down to the 1 column for cowering. Oh no, there's a leader, so there's no cowering. Doesn't matter though, it's not a hit. Any other German firing possibilities? Why, yes, another long shot. These guys can fire up to here at a 5. They rolled a 5. Looking up on the 4 column, +3 for buildings, no hit. Final fire. All Germans capable of firing fired. So now we're going to move into the American advancing fire phase after we remove these final fire markers. Okay, American advancing fire. Well, guys that have prep fired cannot advance fire. But we got some opportunities here, or maybe just one. Yeah, just this one. So a whole platoon of American paratroopers are going to fire on this guy. That's 21. Cut in half though to 10.5. Normally I would round down, but these guys, remember, have an underlined firepower, which means they're assault fire capable. So I believe what I do is I can never remember this. I think I add an extra point and round up, but let's just double check. Okay, so assault fire is you add 1 to each, you take each squad in turn, and you add 1 to its modified firepower, and then round up if there's a fraction. So this guy's modified firepower is 3.5 because it's advancing fire, so you cut your 7 down to a 3.5. You add 1, that's a 4.5. Round up to a 5. So these 3 squads together is 15. which is not too far off from 21, so that's pretty good. So 15 attacking here, which has a stone building, so 15 on the +3. We're looking this up on the 12 column. We rolled a 7. +3, those stone buildings just make it difficult. That's a pin task check. So we'll roll for this German leader, see if he's pinned. He needs to roll a 9. Roll a 4 -1. So he's good. Now for the paratrooper underneath. He rolled a 7. -1 for the leader, 6. His morale's 8, so he's good. So, too bad. Okay, now for the rout phase. Before I do that, let me just remove all these prep fire markers, which are no longer needed. Okay, rout phase. Is anyone capable of routing? Even though these guys are broken, they can't rout because I don't have a desperation morale marker on them. These guys can. Do they want to? They don't have to. Of course, the Americans can keep taking pot shots at them and making them desperate, so they might as well just rout one space to get out of sight. Alright, that is the rout phase. Now for the American advance phase. There's lots of choices here. Not sure how many I want to take advantage of, but like this guy can advance into here and engage in close combat. He would be outgunned quite a bit, so maybe he'll wait for some buddies to approach. So we got 2 squads and a leader. How about they'll advance up to join him? Almost a platoon right there. This entire platoon will advance into this building. So they're just gonna wipe these Germans unless the Germans get some lucky rolls. These Americans down here, I don't think they have any need to advance. They're just gonna wait for these desperate German attacks to come in the last couple rounds and probably wipe them out. These guys are out in the open, which is pretty risky, especially as a stack. They don't care though, because they're cocky now with this massive American attack coming in. More than a company of units attacking the village. These guys up here, this half squad will advance into this building. So this guy will just kind of slide over here. He's in the open. Possible German could be sneaky and get over there and get him, but he's also quite brave. Okay, so there's no close combat situations here. So that is the end of turn 3.